Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Matt Report, brought to you by the Cobos Insurance Center. And a little bit later on during the Matt Report, we'll bring you My Favorite Move, and that's presented by Century 21, Deanna Family Realty. Tim Elkhorn with AM 930 WEOL, Sean Bennett with the Chronicle Telegram. And if you didn't know he was with the Chronicle Telegram, he's sporting a nice new vest from the CT. Well done.
Yeah, got some free some clothes here for the. Yeah, it's nice. Finally looking a little more presentable than just wearing the hoodie or the wrestling shirt or whatever it might be.
Who'd you have to pin down to get that?
Actually, they pinned me down and said, you know what? I don't know if they were trying to be nice and just say, you're looking a little sloppy on those videos. We're going to dress you up and make you look a little nicer or whatever. But now they kind of just said, oh, yeah, come over. Well, they fit me up for it. And next thing you know, I come in one day and right on my desk, boom.
There you go.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Thank you.
All right. Well, speaking of looking good, boy, as always, we start off the Matt Report with three wrestlers that looked pretty good on the mats last week, the top three. So, Sean, let's go through them. We'll start off with a young man from Avon, Tommy Sear.
Yeah, and I just want to start by saying it was very difficult to narrow this down to three. There were so many solid performances last week. We had the Greater Cleveland Conference Championship, which Illyria had 8 champions. So it's hard to say just one or two guys or whatever. SWC, I think we had something like 8 or 9 champions from Lorain County out of that. So just want to say, even though we're picking 3 here, there's probably a dozen or more guys that really probably could have made this list. So starting with Tommy Sear, for obvious reasons, from Avon, went 3-0 with 2 pins and a major decision to capture the 145-pound championship at the Southwestern Conference tournament. That's his 3rd SWC title. Again, another 3-timer. I think we had 3 last week. And he, unfortunately, is only a 3-timer because he missed his entire junior season because he had shoulder surgery, or he very well would have been possibly a 4-time conference champion. But just a fantastic performance. He pinned his way to the final before winning 11-0 over North Ridgeville's Jared Viancourt. Very tough competitor in the final. So great job to Tommy.
John Perry over at Avon Lake, or as Tommy Sear would say, from Lake. But John Perry from Avon Lake, he also had a very nice week.
Yeah, he pinned his way to the 138-pound SWC championship at the same tournament. He pinned number 3 seed Nate Urey of Olmsted Falls in the semifinals, and then pinned the defending champion, SWC champion, and top seed Tim Carrion from Amherst in the final. So really, coming in as an underdog, come out of a nice scramble. I kind of wrote about it in the story. He really kind of said he was surprised when he come out of that scramble. He's on top of the guy, gets the pin. Big win for him. A lot of momentum going into this weekend's postseason. And
as Sean mentioned, boy, there were a bevy of guys that could have been up for this award. But as far as the 3rd performance, Dylan Shawver of Valeri, just a great wrestler for the Pioneers.
Right, and again, so many guys around him helping win the 4th straight Greater Cleveland Conference Championship for the Pioneers. He went 3-0 with 2 pins to win the 126-pound championship at the Greater Cleveland Conference Tournament. He beat Brunswick's Logan Heil, who was ranked number 5 in the state, and who also beat Shawver last year 10-6 in the GCC final. So it was a little bit of a revenge match for him. Yep. And he beat him 7-5 in overtime, a match where he was down 5-2, rallied for a late 3rd period takedown to take it to overtime, and then picked up another takedown in the overtime to win it. So 7-5 win for him against a highly ranked opponent in Logan Heil.
So great job, Dylan Shawver. And again, the top 3 this week: Tommy Sear of Avon, John Perry of Avon Lake, and Dylan Shawver of Illyria. As Sean said, there were a ton of young men that did well on the mats, but to those 3, congratulations. All right, let's move on. It's time for My Favorite Move, every week brought to you by Century 21, Deanna Family Realty, and this week you went to Avon Lake.
Yeah, Avon Lake's Alec Negron, a senior wrestler who potentially we're kind of waiting. He's had an injury, and he's questionable. Let's say if we go by baseball status or football status or whatever, he's questionable on whether he's going to be able to wrestle this weekend in the sectional. If he doesn't, obviously his career is over. So we're really kind of hoping that he's ready to go and it's cleared and everything for that. But at least we were able to talk to him here at the Favorite Move. He went out there and he's showing the elevator, a very common move, a defensive move. I think it might be one of our first defensive moves. It's not a move to that you would normally use to score offense. It's usually something when somebody's got is in on a single leg, what they call a high crotch single leg takedown. It's a way to kind of defend that move. So he kind of shows this move that is very common, and he does it very well.
All right, so let's take a look at it. My favorite move, presented by Century 21 Deanna Family Realty, Alec Negron from Avon Lake with the elevator.
I'm Alec Negron, and I'm a senior at Avon Lake High School, and this is the elevator. Alright, to set this move up, well, you don't have to set it up. If all your line of defense fail and you get the single on you, first thing you want to do is when they come up, you want to make sure the head's on the outside, and you're going to grab it like a football. Then you're going to grab this arm, and you're going to put it over your head. And as you fall, you're going to fall to your right hip, and you're going to come over top of him. So when you hit it, lock up the cradle, and just finish it.
So there you go. Obviously, like I said, it's a very defensive move. The opponent was in on him on that single leg, and he basically showed how you kind of fight that off. And looked pretty slick with the roll around. Obviously gets offense out of defense type of thing. And
right.
Yeah, it's a nice move.
So, Alec, thanks for taking part, and boy, we hope to see you on the mats this weekend. All right, let's transition now to our Spotlight on Coaching. Each and every week during the Mat Report, we like to kind of shine the spotlight on an area coach. So this week we head to the southern end of Lorain County. Bill Waters, head coach of the Wellington Dukes, and of course he takes over from John Sedlak, who was just a legendary coach at Wellington.
Right, yeah, and Bill's obviously he's a first-year coach, but he was John's assistant coach for years and years, so he does have a lengthy coaching resume. But yeah, obviously learned from one of the best in Lorain County. And one of the more impressive is I was reading through his questionnaire, really great answers from him. He obviously has a lot of respect for the sport, and I was kind of moved by some of the things he was saying. I had to kind of paraphrase him down here, but he wrote it was like almost essay form on the questionnaire. So his competitor highlights, he says highlights as a competitor was being on a state runner-up team and winning a conference championship in the only match his grandparents ever saw him wrestle.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Isn't that amazing how those memories stay with those
Absolutely.
with kids, and
Yeah.
now he's a coach.
Yeah. How did he get into coaching? Coworker Tony Budka, who most people know around in the wrestling circles locally, he was at that time the head coach at Clearview, talked him into it. After Waters returned home from the Marine Corps, he kind of talked him into coming out and helping coaching. Top coaching accomplishment, having kids develop a love for the sport and wanting to give back. He says 4 of his current assistant coaches were wrestlers that he and John Sedley coached back in the Wellington program. Best coaching memory, he got a letter from a wrestler thanking him for giving him direction at a time of their life when they were struggling.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I
And
said
again,
it's some great answers.
Yeah, it speaks volumes to the impact that coaches have on young men and young women's lives. So no matter what sport they're coaching, that impact is far beyond just the mats or the courts or the football fields.
Yeah, absolutely. The coach, he listed one coach who influenced him, and I guess you could guess who that would be.
John Sedlak.
John Sedlak. Favorite move to teach young wrestlers is the half Nelson or wing. Toughest part of the job is paperwork, that's a pretty common theme among most wrestling coaches, and balancing work and family life. That's pretty much all coaches. Most important intangible, self-pride, having believing in yourself. Favorite college program?
Ohio State.
Yeah. Favorite high school tournament is, he said, besides the state tournament, he says the Medina Invitational Tournament is his favorite. His toughest opponent, Buckeye. In free time, he likes to spend as much time as possible with his wife and 4 daughters. 4 daughters.
God bless you, Bill. God bless. I got 2. That's a challenge.
I've only got 1, and she keeps me running ragged. And a fun fact about Bill Waters, he's also the Duke's cross-country coach. He learned to love running while he was in the Marine Corps.
I've heard Marines do a lot of running.
Yeah, I was in the Army, and we did our share of running too. But yeah, the Marines are probably on another level with physical training. Yeah.
Really good answers from Bill Waters, wrestling coach at Wellington High School. That one was fun. All right, before we close things up, we always have a lot of fun with some fun facts and some trivia.
Well, let's start with last week. We were talking about that Southwestern Conference tournament. We kind of did some trivia tidbits on that. And my question was, there were 2 Lorain County wrestlers going for their third SWC title Saturday. Well, we already answered pretty much both of them. The first one was Avon's Tommy Sear. We know he did get the job done. 145-pound title was his third championship. The other was Avon Lake's Alec Negron, who did not win the title, obviously. He had to injury default out of the tournament. As we kind of mentioned, he battled in that injury. So obviously unfortunate for him. He's a great wrestler. He had 2 fantastic performances the last 2 years to win titles. So kind of disappointed to not see him being able to challenge for that third. All right, so we're done with regular season.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
We're moving on to the postseason. So we kind of did some little postseason trivia here, the sectionals of this weekend. So we'll start with kind of give you some information about this weekend. Lorain County schools will compete in 4 sectional tournaments this weekend. Division I schools, all of them will be at the Westlake sectional. Division II schools will be all at Bay except for Vermilion, which will be at the Sandusky tournament. The only sectional tournament that's 2 days, Friday night, Saturday night. All the Lorain County other schools will be in one-day tournaments, Saturday only. Okay. And all our Division III schools will be at Independence for that sectional. All right, so no division out of the 3 alters their postseason locations as much as Division I, which happens to be the one that I cover.
They've been everywhere.
I've covered, over the last probably 10 years, D1 tournaments at Southview, Oregon Clay, Toledo Waite, Mansfield, Lorain, Ashland, Perrysburg, Cleveland State, and Mentor, among different locations just for Division I. And the other ones do too. I mean, Independence and Brooklyn have been the main 2 for Division III, and they usually do Garfield Heights for years and years. Division II does a handful as well, but Division I, man, they just like to go all over the place. They're splitting our schools all over the top part of Ohio. So, yeah, it's been kind of a wild ride.
I just hope you get good weather this weekend. If you've been following Sean on Twitter or Facebook, these trips that he's been on have just been awful on the road.
This is the first postseason where I'm not doing some kind of crazy long. I mean, we're at Westlake for sectional, Mentor for district, and I couldn't be more happy. I mean, it's been every year it seems like I'm at Perrysburg and Toledo or wherever. So yeah, at least they've kept it somewhat local. Mentor's still about an hour, but I'll take it. So there was 12 sectional champions last year from 9 schools, 5 in Division I, 4 in Division II, and 3 in Division III, which leads us to this week's question.
Here we go.
Who were the 4 Division II sectional champions from last season? And the hint is 2 of the 4 are from the same school.
All righty. 4 Division II sectional champs last year. Who were they? 2 from the same school.
That's it.
As you said, hard to believe tournament time has arrived.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
It zips right through, and yeah, of course, we'll be blinking our eyes, and it'll be the opening weekend. We'll be at the Cobos Insurance Classic again next week. So, yeah, it's just it's the way it is. It's just like boom, 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 and it's fun though, and it's kind of a good time.
Yeah, it is what we all kind of live for as far as high school sports tournament time. There's nothing like it. Well, next week somebody else is sitting here. I'm in Arizona, so. Although maybe you'll hold up a picture like you did last year.
Yeah, we'll put Tim Alcorn's head will make a reappearance.
So I'll be back again in 2 weeks for the Matt Report, brought to you by the Cobos Insurance Center. But whoever is sitting here, I'm sure will do just fine. So for this week, Sean, thanks to you. Again, sharp-looking vest there. Looks very, very nice. Thanks to Bruce Bishop behind the camera. Biggest thanks to you, the viewers. Hope you enjoyed it. And until we talk again, so long, everybody.